Good morning. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. I am right in that camera today. Sorry about that. Great episode coming up, and rug fell behind me. We're doing some close-ups today. That's why I am right in your grill. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. Let me get this back in place. Ow, ow, ow. Good to see you. Good to see you. Let me see who's here. I see somebody from Granby. That's got to be my mom, right? Oh, no. Here we go. Here we go with monkey times. All right, let's see who's here. Good morning, Mom. Good to see you. We're just chatting on the phone. I have to say thank you to everybody who write. There are so many friends out there who are writing about, stupid, crazy personal situations at home that I always share and brainstorm with you on. Teddy is doing so well, and I had such a great talk with this teacher, Mrs. Frankfurter. I always want to say Mrs. Hamburger because the last teacher was called Mrs. Hamburger, but Diana. We'll say Diana. She is so nice. She watched the show yesterday and saw me spewing all of my worry about the trajectory for him not being able to be alongside the regular kids in the regular classes and all that stuff, and she felt so bad about it. So I want to give a huge shout out to Diana for being awesome. And we've only been together 3 days, but we already love you, and she's helping Teddy a ton. He has been on fire lately. We were so on fire after such a good morning with Diana that we had to go to the Halloween store. And Wendy's, but the Halloween store, and he had to get the Scream mask, that sort of long, horrible face from that terrible horror movie that he has not seen and he will not see anytime soon. I haven't even seen it myself. No, thank you. But we went and got that. For some reason, he loves that Scream face because it reminds him of the painting The Scream, right? And I mean, I have to say, isn't it funny that a kid who's autistic would love that painting? Because I think when you think about, the Scream on the pier, I think it really expresses inner panic and chaos and confusion. And I can see why a kid who's very different can relate to that above any other painting in the world. So things are going so well. Thank you to everybody who's been asking. I really love you and appreciate you, need the support, and I'm very grateful for all the support. And hopefully he'll come on Friday night for cocktail time and make a little cameo appearance, make a little baby cameo. Kirsten, great to see you. You did the most amazing work. I spoiled, I was going to surprise you with what the mystery pattern was that comes on fiber tape if you order the Maud Lewis swatch set. Oh, let me grab one of the swatch sets right here. Steph was working on these beauties, putting them all together. It's a very primary driven swatch set, right? But beautiful, lots of beautiful colors, lots of off colors that Maud used herself. So they won't be for everybody, but it is a good filler set filled with primary colors and certainly Maud colors. Steph put together 8 sets of those right now. So I know some of them have sold. Sorry about my body. But not all of them have. So I worked out this sketch. I'm such a jerk. I can't keep secrets. I can't keep surprises at all. I worked out this sketch as a free pattern to go with the Maud Lewis swatch set because I like to give a free pattern on fiber tape so you can do it if you want to. Usually something small so you could use the swatch pieces if you wanted to. So I sent this image to Kirsten really late last night at like 10:30 or 11 or something. And she immediately came up. It's Maud Lewis. It's the cat Fluffy that all Maud's cats were called Fluffy in her life. But it's Fluffy, and he's a black cat, sort of for Halloween or autumn. And I used her famous motif that I always refer to as boomerang flowers, really odd, unrealistic kind of fern-type leaves. And I dropped down 2 spiders to be a little bit spooky if you like that. You could always take the spiders out. And Kirsten I think you did 6 renditions in different color palettes of, what did I call it, Halloween Fluffy. And they are all so good. I feel like I have to hook it multiple times. I wasn't even going to, but now I feel like I've got to because they're so good. If you look on Facebook, for this thumbnail on this video, I used one of her images of Halloween Fluffy, and then she did a bunch more. And I was just chatting with Penny, and I posted a couple more of them there. Kirsten, you're amazing. You're amazing. You are a color maniac, and they are so good. M.E. Shelley, you're so jealous. You're still very much in summer in North Carolina. Well, some people love eternal summer even, right? I mean, some people don't want any of the business of snow and winter. I am looking forward to fall hitting us a little bit harder. It's still quite warm here too. But yeah, We're feeling a little bit of a shift. I hope you do too soon. Janice, good to see you. Cloudy, rainy, and cool, 52 degrees in northern Minnesota. Good morning, Crystal. I just heard something about you and a magazine. I need to hear more about that. I know you are very modest and soft-spoken, but I need to hear more about this magazine thing. And I want to publicize it everywhere because you are amazing. Joy, good to see you, Joy. I feel like I haven't seen you lately. Nice breeze down in Florida. That sounds great. And great to see you. Beautiful day in New Hampshire. April, beautiful day. Everybody's enjoying the weather today. Nada, great to see you back. Good morning. Martha, you are on. You are another buddy who I miss when you're not there. I think about you all the time. I've not forgotten about our projects. I thought I was going to have to cancel coffee time this week just because of the school stuff, but it turns out it's working out okay. We're going to get some rain. Okay, Beverly, you're going to get a little bit of rain. Give you some time to do your hook-in, right? Oh, all your pieces are looking so good. Cindy, happy coffee time. Jennifer, thank you. It's a whole dress, right? What's easier than just slapping on a stretchy dress? It's one of those LuLaRoe ones. I get them on that Facebook Marketplace. They cost nothing, and they're so easy to wear. Dave, you like the fashion talk? Hello in Toronto. Good to see you. Catherine, good to see you in breezy Idaho. Barbara, hello and good morning. Lisa, hello and good morning. Been thinking about you, Lisa, because I've been thinking about Pennsylvania and trying to make a plan to get out there. Excellent outcome. Thank you so much. So far, so good. So it's good to be matched up with the right people. Nobody knows, and I know you know this feeling if you have to leave the house, like for any reason. You get in these situations, whether it's at school or the DMV or with the insurance people or the tax people or whatever, and you know that there is a word like open sesame that you have to say to get the outcome that you want, but you don't know what it is, right? And they're not going to tell you. And life just works this way these days. It just works this way. It's getting more and more like this, and it's worrying, but not, you have to hire translators to tell you what the open sesame word is. And it's just frustrating that life has to be like that, but it really is. There's no question. I'm turning into such a terrible cynic. Doreen, hello in upstate New York. Tara, good morning. Good to see you. All the buddies are on. Nada, thank you for asking. My shoulder is okay. I was just saying to Steph, I'm not going to start because sometimes I get in such a bad rant, and I'm not a negative person, I hope, typically. I went over to the doctor, and I had to clear the whole afternoon out from there, and I was already very, very stressed with catching up and stuff. I went over there, and the one thing they needed to do, see, I'm starting, was to give me an x-ray, of course, for my shoulder. And they can't do x-rays in the afternoon because the afternoon is reserved for people who are, I'm going to say, pandemic positive. Can't say the word or they'll pull the video, and I'm not, so they couldn't do an x-ray for me, so they really couldn't tell me anything. It was just another wind-up, Jack in the Box time, just do, pop goes the weasel, and I almost popped right in the office, but I said, it's okay, I'll come back. And she said, can you come back tomorrow? And I said, no, I can't come back tomorrow. I know it's important, but for goodness sake, you brought me out there to give me an x-ray, and you schedule me at a time when it's not possible to have an x-ray. So it was a bit of a wind-up, but I did get anti-inflammatories and painkillers. And I was just saying to Steph, I wonder if that is even any good, because it feels great. It feels like there's nothing wrong. But now what if I decide to do the wave, right? I pretend I'm at a Def Leppard concert, and I decide to do the wave, and I throw out my arm. There's still damage there. I just can't feel it because of all the pills they just gave me. And I wonder if that's even a good thing, because it's nice to not have pain. But at the same time, if I do something really stupid without noticing it, my body's not going to tell me that I've done that. So I wonder about all these eventualities. But thank you for asking. I feel great, but it's artificial. It's a to be continued. Janice, leaves are changing already. Oh, you lucky duck. I noticed in New Hampshire a few of them at the tip tops of the trees were changing. So nice to see. Anita, good morning. Good to see you. Oh, I see you're chatting about the cats and the swatch sets. Linda, good to see you. And Penny, you love the cat. Yep, there's a bunch more where that came from. I'll have to post them all because they're all beautiful. The magic words, Dave says, just like dealing with City Hall. Exactly. the world in and of itself. Yeah. One time I went to the DMV, and, I didn't have the right things in my hand. And so I went back, right? And this is in the days when I had like a 9-to-5 job. I was like much younger. And I went back with the things they told me to have in my hand, and I had different things in my hand. And I brought him to the desk. You wait for 4 or 5 hours, no exaggeration, 4 or 5 hours, and take a day off work, a personal day, right? Like super fun personal day, hanging out at the DMV. And a second time, I didn't have the right stuff, and they said, "Oh, I don't know who told you to bring that stuff. That you need this and not that. I don't know why they." And I got so angry. I said, "Next time I'm coming with like every piece of paper in my house, including my scrapbook with a picture of myself in my Halloween costume when I was 6, just in case you ask for it." And their faces are like, there's no humor. There's no humor. It's like the night of the living dead. But you do get in these horrible situations where it's very hard to be normal, right? And it's a shame that life pushes you that far when you're a nice person and a good person and you mean well and you have an instinct to be friendly. It's a shame when you get pushed so far that you end up acting like a crazy person in public, right? Oh, yeah, Mom, one time, yeah, she's telling the story. One time she had a broken windshield. The insurance person you were dealing with finally had to prompt you into saying the secret word. She kept saying to my mom, "So what hit your car? Was it something like a flying projectile?" And my mom was like, "No, it was kind of like a rock." And the woman was going, "You mean it was a rock that looked like a flying projectile?" And my mom was like, "It wasn't that big. It was, kind of like, could it even been a piece of glass?" And the woman kept saying, "Are you sure it wasn't a flying projectile?" And she said, it was a flying projectile. I said, the woman was like, "Great. I can mark it down now and it's paid for." But it's those crazy situations, isn't it? Crystal is answering. She says, "Just quickly to what I mentioned, if anyone else is in Canada, Chatelaine has a really neat article on some emerging artists in rug hooking. The rug hooking world in Nova Scotia. It's a fun read." So great. I heard that part. Now, Crystal, is that also online, or is that something that maybe for someone who's not in Canada, I can order to have so I can show it on the show? Do you know about its availability? I've heard of the magazine, but only from traveling, not from being here and trying to get it, because I would love to get it, and I would love to read it, and I would love to read the whole article, but spend the most time on the part about you, of course. So just let me know. I'll look out for the threads. So we probably won't have time to do bed bugs today, bed rugs, because I got so many great answers about our mystery rug. Remember the rug that, Jay has it in his auction, or he will shortly. It's coming up, or it's on now or something. But it's a beautiful woven rug. It's remarkably soft, which made me think it is not wool. It's remarkable. Well, it might be wool. I put it up like a scarf around my neck and it didn't itch. That's how official my test is. It doesn't feel like wool, but it could be, I suppose. But it is remarkable. We looked at it the other day, and we looked at the colors, all the apricot colors, lilac colors, cranberry colors, very unexpected colors in this kind of a rug. It's very, very thin, and it could equally be a hanging, but it certainly could be used as a rug. Oh, Barbara, that would be fantastic. Thank you. Okay, Crystal says it's in print. I'm not sure what the online access is, but Barbara says she can scan it and get it to me so then I can share it with you on one of the upcoming coffee times. Perfect, Barbara. That's perfect. I do not want to miss that article. Congratulations, Crystal. You are so on top of your game. Your work is so good, and it's so different. It has such style. I'm so happy for you. So a lot of answers came in about the rug, and a few people had 1 or 2 great answers, and I answered, great job, this is great research, fantastic. But 3 of the answers that came in were really thorough. So those are the 3 I want to look at here. 3 great answers. I'm going to start with Kaz, and Kaz is back to teaching. She was on with us every day, but she's back to teaching now. School is in again. She sent this great information, so I'm going to share it with you, and then we'll look again at the rug and some of the symbols in the rug and see how far we can get. So I want to tell you in the meantime, Donna, was it Donna who sent me? Somebody sent info, a guy I think in Colorado, who could know what it was about. And we contacted him. Jay contacted him, and that guy thought it was an Incan rug, or that they were Incan symbols, and that's just the preface to the story. So that was good information that he got there, and he was able to use that in the auction listing. And Kaz's information is very consistent with that too. I just want to read Cindy's comment. She says, my husband told the DMV he was going to bring his grade school report cards because they asked for everything that was not on their online required list of papers. Isn't it unreal? Isn't it unreal? It's just so... If everybody did their job as badly as some of these people in public places, we would all get canned. We would all be living in a cardboard box in the park somewhere, right? I mean, it's just amazing how poorly people can work giving information out, sharing information. It's unbelievable. I feel for everybody that has to leave the house at all, like for any reason. Even the gas station, I have a hard time putting my card the right way in. I always have to ask the woman, and she's always so huffy when she has to come out and show me because it's like upside down and backwards, and it doesn't work. Nothing works these days. But change of season, change of mood. We're going to cross that bridge and stay positive, right? We're going to stick together and stay positive. I was loving this conversation about the rug because everybody who wrote in sent information that I didn't know. This is not my strength. Native anything culture is not my strength at all. Early American settlement times, colonial times, that's like my sweet spot. Anything native anywhere is not good for me. So Kaz came back with this riveting, she wrote a long thing and she included some pictures. She says, I came to the conclusion that the motifs on the mystery rug came from the tunic patterns worn by Inca's high-ranking men, such as royal family members and warriors. Now let me show you a picture that she sent of a man in this garb, and you see the skirt. I'm sorry, it's a tunic, not a skirt. That's a beautiful costume too, isn't it? For a person with a degree in costume construction, that is just... that's a nicey. But you can see real similar, also in terms of weight, that tunic is quite similar to the symbols we're seeing here. So, and then she goes on to say the photo on the left is a man, this is one I just showed you, dressed as an Inca king for tourists. The photo on the right that I'm about to show you shows the reconstruction of the Inti Raymi, Feast of the Sun, the most important festival on the Inca calendar. In this photo, one of the men is wearing a tunic with motifs that are very similar to those of the mystery rug. So let's look at this picture now. See here? The coat that he's wearing, again, very, very similar. This is an illustration for the Feast of the Sun. But yeah, looking at these, very similar. And she says, the mystery rug motifs and tunic motifs of the left photo are squared. These are very similar to the squared motifs called tokapu, T''OQAPU. This is a photo of all the tokapu tunic patterns. According to the Khan, Khan, Academy website, only those of high rank in the Inca Empire could wear these designs. The website also states that individual tokapu designs appear to have been related to various peoples, places, and social roles within the Inca Empire. For example, the tokapu with the checkerboards indicates a warrior class. So she was able to pull up this image with, we're not getting matches yet, we're not getting hits, but we're getting really similar iconography. And then this is the other one she was talking about here. People of a warrior class could wear this. So all of these are going to have very specific meaning, symbolism. I guess just like, for example, I'm thinking of my dad, who was in 3 branches of the military, you know, having different symbols on his uniform that showed rank, right? And other specific things, a language that I also didn't know, but of course you would if you were part of that world. The Incas used many, this is all Kaz's writing, the Inca used many tokapu designs that were symbols of tribes that were conquered so that they could show their absolute dominion over the land and its people. Although I was never able to find out the meaning of each square design of the mystery rug, I believe that they were based on symbols or designs used by the tribes that the Inca conquered. The design squared by the red, I'm going to show you this, came from the Chamorro civilization textile. The Chamorro was conquered by the Inca. This design represents waves, and they were very common in the Chamorro civilization. It is very similar to one of the motifs in Diana's mystery rug. So here is the Chamorro rug that represents like the civilization, and here's the symbol that she's relating it to. That's in our rug behind me. That's one further down. I'll show you in a minute, but that's one of ours right here. Tunics were made by highly skilled women using a backstrap loom. I made 2 table runners that had simple stripes using a backstrap loom. It was very labor intensive. Those women must have been very talented to make such intricate patterns. They used camelids, such as alpacas, to make yarns for weft. I believe that Diana's mystery rug was woven using a floor loom. According to the commercial website Novica, a weaver wove this tapestry using a traditional teller de petal, or petal loom, inspired by Inca textile patterns. And she says the style of the mystery rug tapestry is very similar. And then she gives us a couple more images. The person with the, what was that first loom she said that she used? Backstrap. Right, and there's this, and we're getting the definition of that handily here. You can see why it's called a backstrap. And then this is the other tapestry that she's referring to that's very, very, very close in symbolism. I know, Penny, it's super interesting. And you know, this is going to force my hand into making this into a hooked rug design. And because why not? Why shouldn't we? I think I will. I mean, it doesn't have it's not new. It's a woven thing. I might jiggle up some of the designs. I might even add some more of the designs that are in here. I'm seeing a couple that Kaz put in that I like a lot. Real different ones. You see this one on the bottom here that has all these little. Bring it in first. Uh-oh. See, now my arm is hurting. See this little one down here with the triangles, little trees or something? I really like this, and it's done in different colors here. Some of these remind me more of quilt designs, so I might swap some out. I like this one a lot too. You see the orange one in there? It's almost like a wavelength. I might swap some out, but we'll see. I'm going to come up with a design that's very similar to this, and I'm going to use the same kinds of colors. Kirsten, that might be a great project for you if you have time. And put it out on the website so we can do it if you want to do it. And I'm going to say it. I know not everybody is interested in anything other than hooking and punching, but I'm going to say this is going to make a great latch hooking design too, because it's going to be good for the floor. It's going to be simple geometric lines. It's just the kind of design that works really well. If you are a person who likes to latch, is interested in latching, I'm going to put it out as either as a latch design or as a hook punch design. Yeah, it will make a fabulous hooked rug. It'll make a fabulous proper rug. We've had so many people ordering the Abenaki rugs that I drew just based on North American, Native American patterns, right? Just generally, not quite, just for fun. But a lot of those have been selling, and people making, like Joy, your rug is unbelievable, by the way. I hope you post that. Hope I didn't miss it. Unbelievable. It makes a great floor rug, doesn't it? It doesn't... You know, you make a rug with like a giant basket with chocolate bunnies and rabbits and stuff. It makes a good hooked rug, but it doesn't necessarily make a good floor rug. Whereas the rug that we're looking at today and all of these sort of Native American inspired rugs make great floor rugs because, number one, they're not super distracting in terms of require you to focus and focus on the image and define it. And number two, they're not directional. So no matter where they are in the room, you approach from different directions and you're still looking at the thing right side up, right? So it's so nice to consider these kinds of patterns. I can see why they are considered like eternal lasting motifs for floor rugs. You do latch, Catherine. Oh, I'm so glad. Anne, I've got yours next. I've got your piece next. You know, I occasionally latch too, and the only reason I don't more is not because I think latch is any lower on the totem pole, for example, than hooking. It's just I don't have time. Everything is time with me. But I enjoyed latching when I was a kid. I enjoy latching now. And sometimes I'm looking to do something that has a finish on it, an overall look, that it is a bit more blurred out and pixelated. And latch is great for that. It automatically gives you that. A nice thick high pile and a softness, right? A softness. It's a little bit hazy and out of focus when you do a latch rug. You don't get the precision that you would if you're hooking or punching. And it's just nice to give your arms a rest, to give your hands a rest, and do a different motion for a change. When you do all of one thing, it's just a lot on your hands, isn't it? On your wrists. Now, Anne sent me another great piece. This is Anne's piece I'm going to share. And Anne said, your eyeballs were falling out. You were poring over so many charts of symbols. I'm so glad. That sounds like so much fun. It's so fun to run with a project, isn't it? She said that the mission was fun and challenging. And she says, Anne says, I don't think there are many definitive answers, but here are my thoughts. And she says, rug seems very Navajo, Native American, tribal to me. One symbol did seem similar to something on the Adinkra chart, which is West African, question mark. I don't know personally. I should have checked before I came on. The feel of this rug, I feel this rug should be turned vertically, so I did it just now, north to south, as if laying it in a hallway like a runner. The symbols in this direction make more sense to me. The wine goblets, martini glasses, things like that, laying on their sides. So I absolutely agree. So I put it, I think, the way that you meant, Anne. Hey, Anne Kurtz. Hello. You like the cat pattern. You did something so similar, right? You did something super similar to that in our class. So, you know, I cannot say, I do not know the answer. I cannot say based on everything, and I have one more to go after Anne's. I'm going to read Anne's, whether it is Navajo, because a bunch of people did say Navajo. Whether it is Incan, it's very hard to say. It's a to be continued. It is. We do not have a definite answer still. It's a moving target. But Anne says, and I wanted to do this together. So let's look at it like this. I've got the rug here. So Anne said, looking at it like this way, top to bottom, this was her, and these are your ideas and thoughts. I think I'll stand up, of what these things mean. Let me see if I can come even closer. Bring you. No, that's about as close as I can go without pulling it off the thing. So Anne is saying she thought this one was like mountains. And feel free to chime in here if you have other thoughts, you see something else. She thought mountains for this, the middle one, protection. This one, question mark. I have to say for this one, I hope you can see it well enough. For this one, I felt that this is a person. I think this is a head. This is the arms, the sort of waist, and the feet, really grounded feet. But I feel like this represents a human being. I can't know for sure, but it strikes me as that. And then the next row, left is versatile initiative. And she's looking at that, she's looking at the Adinkra chart, because there's a similar symbol that means versatile, comma, initiative. In the middle, harmony and balance. Looks like the yin-yang thing. It absolutely does. The colors are balanced perfectly, right? That could well be. That's a great idea. And the right is a question mark. And I don't have any ideas for the right myself at all. Not at all. Over here in row, let me bring you up a little bit. Let's do some of this. Hope my butt isn't in the camera. I won't know if it is until later. All right, and then this one we're pretty good with, right? The goblets. Let's see, third row, middle, pine cone. Pine cone. This one here, ooh, that could well be a pine cone. That makes sense. That resonates too. That's a good one. Yep, okay, I see. So I thought I got too far ahead. Third row, middle. Okay, so this one, goblet or chalice. That really does look like that. So for pine cone, Karen's saying pine cone. I think that's a great one. Anne said typical Native American design. Of course, these things can mean multiple things in different cultures, of course, right? Anne saying in Native American design, this is an eye or a star. Now, this looks very Navajo to me, right? That is like one of their classic symbols. Unless all of that sort of Western wear I was wearing in the 80s is just misleading. This is the one I recognize more than any of them. And this one on the right, Anne said possibly a staircase or a success. I like that. I like that idea. I like the imagery there. So now we're down here. Row 4, snow cloud. She says she actually found this symbol on Native American Indian chart. Snow cloud, this one here. And then Anne put a question mark for this one. I don't know. In a way, this looks like an eye with a head, but it's very hard to tell. And then this one is the one I felt if you turned it the other way is the Star Wars, the Star Wars block, right? What are these things called? Dave, do you know what these things are called? The things that when they come out of the big spaceships, they break away in these little things. I don't have the language. I've watched Star Wars a million times and I still don't have the language for it. But I know those must be called something. It's just what they look like, too. Wouldn't it be funny if this was a joke rug after all this? So, okay, so the next row, this one here, understanding, and again, Anne is coming up with ideas, right? So you say your ideas too if you have them. I love this one, Anne. Understanding cooperation. That is fantastic. And it's funny because it kind of says U-H-U. I mean, it's not, I don't think the letters are meant to be read, or indeed letters, but it does have a beautiful flow, another beautiful square with balance. And this is the one that's kind of caramel colored, toffee colored, and like a lilac. Really, really nice. This one here must be, yep, an hourglass, time and death, heaven and earth, and unity. So I think more than possibly, that's just what that looks like. This one, unity. Sorry, heaven and earth, this is unity. I'm sorry. Hourglass, time and death, heaven and earth, this one, unity. So, I mean, I love this symbol. I don't quite get it. It has this sort of bug arms off of it, but I think I'm being way too literal too, right? I totally like unity for this, and these little pops of multicolors of purple are exquisite. Let's bring it right up to the top and look at the last two rows. This one here, Anne gave a question mark. So this one is up for grabs. This looks like maybe fire, but maybe it's the color that's making me think that. But this is a right split down the middle, and you know, you're not getting, it's not equal, right? It's like it's going sort of downward. I don't know if that's a weaving thing, that it's easier to work it that way, or if that has meaning that it's not really symmetrical. And then of course this middle one, fishbone or spiritual awakening, fantastic. TIE fighter, thanks Kirsten, TIE fighter, absolutely, the Star Wars thing, TIE fighter. Fishbone, and then this two got, what have we got here? Question mark. This again does look like, you know, it could be that in the middle we're looking at the symbols the other way around now, because we were looking at the wine glasses face side up a minute ago, and now if these are glasses or platters, now they're face down, right? So maybe the aesthetic is that in the middle of the rug, these things go that way and those things face that way, right? Maybe that is the aesthetic. So we're not standing at one side of it and looking up to read all the symbols top to bottom. You're meant to look from the middle down and from the middle the other way. That's entirely possible. Imperial fighter. Yep, I think that's got to be the same, right? I love it. Those were Imperial fighters for sure. I feel like this is some kind of a platter. I feel like this is the stand and this is the top where the food would go. But I feel like this is upside down because I think this is upside down now too. So confusing enough, but unknown, definitely unknown. And over on this side, the last row, fire and earth, triangle pointing up for fire, hot and dry, pointing down, oh, I'm sorry, left. No, so Anne said left, she doesn't know. This one, fire and earth. Triangle pointing up for fire, hot and dry, pointing down for earth, moist. I could see that. I could see that making sense. And this one, good crops. This is a funny one. I hope you can see it's stacked, right? And the stack is cut off at the top. And again, I think we're looking at these upside down. So let's just fix that, because I'm pretty sure that right after the TIE fighter, Imperial fighter thing, we're supposed to be looking at it this way, because I don't know, I do feel like this must be platters or something. But this here, this changes everything here, because now it almost looks like a fountain, right? When this is leveled up like this is like the base of something. Again, I'm probably being way too literal, but I hope you can see that the color is split here. So there's a lot going on. In a very simple square like this, there's a lot going on. I think that is just stellar. We're obviously going to run over. So now we've looked at the rug again. I want to read you the last one that came to me from Joe. Joe is my buddy. He sometimes visits me here. He wrote a great one too. And he wrote, hey Deanna, he says, I never meet a deadline on time, so why start now? That's the spirit. I'm not being sarcastic. That's the spirit. Why not? He said, I don't actually have any symbols to identify, but I'm a sucker for a good mystery, and I've been doing some amateur sleuthing. He says, I'm 99% sure it's a Peruvian rug, or at least made in the Andes region, most likely made by the Quechua, Q-U-E-C-H-U-A, feel free to connect my pronunciation, made by a Quechua craftsperson. I've seen rugs with identical to very similar designs listed as Incan calendar rugs, but I haven't found any academic info that would back that up. So you keep crossing over into that Incan territory. And I have to say, I was working on an Inca calendar design before I found this rug and brought it to you. So it's been extremely helpful for me because I'd already been looking at a lot of Incan symbols. This is kind of reinforcing. A lot of them are, but I have to agree, a lot of them are Navajo symbols too. And it does make me wonder, is this some kind of a weird potpourri? I think we have so much static here. I'm not sure that this rug represents any one culture. This could just be a designy thing, right? Incan calendar rug, but I haven't found any academic information that would back that up. Also, I haven't found anything connecting rug symbols to the Inca calendar, nor the significance of 21 to the calendar, the number 21, 3 across, 7 down, right? My guess is that the rugs are sold as souvenirs at Peruvian markets or at Peruvian cultural sites, and selling them as Incan calendar rugs makes them more appealing to tourists. That is really smart, Joe. That is, I haven't read this yet. I'm reading it live. That's very smart. This is where so much confusion comes in life, isn't it? When we start crossing wires with things that are authentic and things that are tourist trade, we get mutations of things and exaggerations of things and alterations that are not consistent with traditional motifs. We get this in every culture, and it becomes super confusing. He says the Inca did have a system of icons that would be in a series of squares. Each square is called a tokapu and is usually an abstract geometric shape. Here is an interesting presentation about tukapus. And he says, unfortunately, since the Inca did not have a written language, it makes it very difficult to confirm a lot of hypotheses behind the meaning of many of these symbols. And the site he's referring to talks about a different type of textile pattern called a pallay, P-A-L-L-A-Y, which uses similar symbols in a different form. According to that site, some weavers do not know the meaning or source of a specific pallay, but remember it as something they learned from their grandparents. Now that is interesting because we're talking about oral history now. As soon as we get involved in oral history, we hit one of my favorite sweet spots because we're talking about not black and white straightforward history anymore, are we? We're talking about things that other generations passed down and told. And whether they are true, partly myth, superstition, whatever, they have a lot of cultural value. They might not have black and white value, but they have a lot of cultural value. Dave says, inverted triangles could be gathering baskets. Oh, interesting. Well, that makes a lot more sense than fountains with water, doesn't it? Water is not such a thing as gathering and harvesting. That's a really good thought. I do think, do you agree, do you think that this is the right side up, that every time you turn the rug from the middle up, you have to look at it with that orientation? Because looking at the whole thing at once, I think, is not the right way to interpret these designs. Super fun, though, isn't it? Super fun trying, even if we're just fooling around. So he says, from the grandparents, one thing that does surprise me, this is Joe talking, is that the rug does not feature a chicana, which is an Inca cross. I think that's an excellent point too, right? Because in terms of Incan art, I mean, again, I've only been looking at calendar designs. You get that cross always, don't you? You never don't get that cross. So that is a great point, which seems to be one of the most important symbols. I read that many of their symbols often represent geographic formations or animals like pumas, snakes, and condors. So something like this could be a snake or a river. And he's showing us, it's one on that rug, but he's showing us this one again. That's the one that Kaz brought up too. That could absolutely be a snake or a river. Could have double or multiple meanings. Absolutely, Dave. Isn't that interesting? Isn't it so interesting? No Rosetta Stone for what we're doing here. We're kind of making it up as we go along, but isn't it fun? So he said, if you were to design a similar pattern, it might be fun to use geometric shapes to represent modern day. Okay, so he's giving me a special note. That is going to be a good note. I'm going to read that. And he hopes Teddy's doing well. Teddy's doing much better now. He's with Diana. Thank you so much. So this is a site he's talking about. It's called trippy.com. And he put up a post that's called Inca Calendar. And he says, hello, can anyone give me some detailed information about the Inca Calendar? A friend of mine is talking about the big carpet back here. Sorry, I'm just reading through it. They're talking about the months, the dividing 36 with typical calendar into the 12 months. with 3 weeks for every month. Okay, so slightly different structure. And he sent me some responses that people had written about. The breakdown of their calendar is completely different, it looks like. If there are special Inca symbols in the arts of today, they seem to be mixed up with later symbols. For instance, some figures with 4 quadrats symbolizing the death of Tupac Amaru. Okay, so there are very specific events in the Incan timeline. I guess the point is that they're making things now that are crossing traditional symbols with more modern symbols and more modern events. And if that is the case, it really is a moving target. But he sent some more examples of Incan textiles. I think these are Incan textiles. Yeah, I think so. And again, we have to look at these for both color and relationship to this. We're seeing some similar, let's look first. We're seeing some similar symbols. I mean, what I'm looking at here is color. I mean, it's just crazy. This one is fantastic too. I can't imagine. And this one, right? This one is one that we have, I think. A little bit different. The one that I thought looked more like fire. That one's real similar to that. This one looks just like bells. I'm sure it's not. But a lot of these are quite similar. Again, possible mountain reference. And then coming over here, again, completely different color palette, but we are seeing, again, possible snakes and rivers all over the place. And then the mountains, right? This is the one that Dave just said. See the way it's flattened out at the bottom? That could be a gathering basket, that kind of a thing. Something that's catching something. Again, possible more snakes. But we are seeing a lot of motifs that are two-colored, right? Like you're looking at a very simple geometric, but it's got 2 colors in it. Look at the amount of color they're putting into these little squares, right? Fantastic. This one's almost rounded. That reminds me of our one that has what looks like the legs off of it. The one that Anne thought was Unity. And another beautiful one that he found that has, if not the same, some very similar motifs. So this is all great information. I think this is all great information. It's so hard to judge who gets the prize, which is the Halloween Charm Square set. I love you all equally and so much. I think I'm gonna do Joe. He did a ton of text, and then he found those great 2 different websites, and all of these symbols are very, very similar and close. I think I'm going to share all these on Ribbon Candy Hooking, the blog site, but also on the Facebook group, so you can look a little bit closer at some of these images that both Joe and Kaz sent. And Anne, I love yours too. I love all of them. But yeah, this is like a report. Like the teacher got a report, and it's good. So this is the Halloween set with all these crazy colors. So I will get that out to Joe. I've got some other stuff for Joe that he won in Jay's auction here. But God, that was fun. That was fun, huh? I mean, yeah, let's think about this. I'm going to read Joe's message about how to turn this into a rug for us to use. Some designs for us. I could see breaking these designs down into like individuals for like mug rugs, little coffee mats. But I also want to put together some of these symbols and some of the other symbols that came up in the research that I just looked at, putting some together as larger rug designs, right? So we have some options. And again, I think I'm going to offer them as both hooking patterns, hooking/punch, and latch patterns, because I do think they would be bang up latch patterns. They would be fantastic for either. And great colors, just great imagery. And great mystery. Isn't it great? Like Joe said, isn't it great? He loves a good mystery, and he loves to play an amateur sleuth. And I loved yours because you did it. You were looking at it with ideas and translating, and that's so whimsical and great too. I appreciate. There's a lot of people who send stuff in, and I appreciate all of them. I've got a lot of like one-liners. I think this is this. I appreciate all of them. Everybody's information was fantastic. I feel super inspired, and I'm not done talking about this rug. It's going to go away soon because it'll go to auction and it'll sell. But I've captured all of these squares, and I'm going to capture some more squares. And I'm not done talking about this kind of rug because I think it's so important for us as rug hookers, being in such tiny little wrinkle of textile arts and crafts, right? We're such a little wrinkle that it's so important for us to reach out and to grab at related textiles, right? Whether they be woven, sort of tribal rugs, tourist rugs, whether they be bed rugs, and I'll get back to that tomorrow. Whatever they are, it's so important for us to be flexible and to cross over into other textile arts, quilting, because otherwise we're going to go extinct as a group of crafters. It's so important to be knowledgeable, I think, and to appreciate all these crossover possibilities and things that were shown. So it was really fun to find this rug. You can't wait to do some color with them, Kirsten, huh? I'll get those out. I got them ready to blow. My mom says, fascinating. Would love to do more research on these images and ancient mysteries. Absolutely. You know, hey, if you also want to do some research, images, work, whatever, pass it on to me. If you don't, if you have something that you'd like for me to share on coffee time or just talk about, or you don't even want me to mention your name, but you feel like doing like a little report like this. I mean, doing this reminded me of being in school. Every time I was at school, we didn't say Native Americans then. We would always say Indians, right? So it would be like, Deanna, you have the Hopi Indians. Every time, I never got any tribe but the Hopis, and I ended up loving them because I knew so much about them, but I never got any other group of people besides the Hopi. And it reminded me of this whole idea of getting like a subject and, being a student again and just running with it and seeing what you can find out. This is so visual and stimulating. And the reason I left so much of this rug, right, this heirloom rug from Providence from the 1960s, so close instead of taking it down for this episode, was because I'm trying to make a subconscious parallel too between a woven rug like this with tribal symbolism and a rug like this that's more like a sampler, like a Baltimore sort of applique quilt feel to it. They aren't that dissimilar, right? There's a heck of a lot of crossover between these two guys. So if you get a sort of ants in your pants feeling that you would like to do some research in any area that relates to symbols, rugs, anything, and you want to send it to me for coffee time, we can blow it into a full-length episode, or if you already have something full-length, that would be such a big help for me to get these kinds of things. If you're feeling inspired, we're all inspired by this rug, I think, so why not? Why not keep running with it? Tomorrow I'm going to return to bed rugs, though. I was looking and reading, I don't know why I thought I would get to it today, I'll do it tomorrow, about the sort of history of girls and women doing needlepoint in early America, very like 17th century America, and what the structure was like in those days for a school, not being in a schoolhouse, of course, because it wasn't a priority to build schoolhouses. It was a priority to build houses and churches, and of course a mill, things like that, but not a school. So I'm going to start tomorrow's episode on bed rugs, talking about the people who were making these first bed rugs. What kind of training did they have? Did they have any? What were they learning? What age were they learning at? What sort of objectives were they given at school in terms of sewing, embroidery, rug making, all of these things? What were they supposed to be learning there? And do that whole sort of timeline of early America. So we will return to bed rugs tomorrow. Have a great bed bugs, right, Anne? You were just thinking it again. Have a great afternoon.